and 35 minutes of recording. He's talking about developing the character Jack, but Jack doesn't get developed as much. It's more of like a secondary factor. He has some influences. Robbie says bye-bye to me. That would be Jack. When they find her, she's like a TO chick, I guess. Like, kind of ticked off, but not really. Trying to do stuff for herself. There's an entire group against her, and it's kind of like, how does she get into it? One, she has to be this. Two, she has to be that. Maybe it works for her. Maybe it works for her. So one, the banker. The banker knows who she is, but doesn't really know who she is. How like is she getting these, monies, etc., etc., and they're just like, we're storing them here, how does that go? So anyway, they got further into the dynamics. I was thinking about reading a little bit on banking in the 1800s. That would be funny. It was banking like in the 1800s. Anyway, documents, scribing, stuff like that. Please inscribe here, and it was a signature. Herein, etc., I know it's agreement. But anyway, that hasn't changed much. You go, Mr. Scooter questions. Miss, what seems to be the problem? She's already admonished. She's already admonished. Astonishment. Katie steps back. Well, Sir Coot, and she says, Sir Coot. She's like, has a nickname for everyone, but it seems sort of like, not a humiliation, but like, a differing objective. You must know me by name. And she's like, well, I'll give you a nickname then. I'll remember it every time. She tries to straighten out. Says, my lovely teller has just informed me she has no clue what to do with my coins. She explains with her arms flailing. Deposits are yet collected this day. Please return at 4. The Union. E-burdens. So as it says, the Union. Mr. Scooter waves his lollygagging tellers. Return at 4. He returns to Katie. My sincerest apologies. He directs her to a glossy cherry desk stacked with newspaper sheets, lining an envelope slitter with feather pin. He asks in the value. It's not that slow though, it's a little bit faster. Anyway, she says $2 and a nickel. She's basically dropping the day's deposit for her father. She exposes a wrinkled bill and a tiny, shiny silver coin. Who could this loud yet annoying... No, this is me. Who could this loud yet very annoying, attractive cowgirl be? And she's like, what? Anyway, she's not very attractive, but that's funny as hell. From where had these winds blown her? They have a friend who is native, so to pick up a little bit on her sort of tone and style, voice, etc. Difference between voice style and tone. So you go, style is with a piece of writing which is classic, sort of Western, but not wild. Not as much wild. You have voice, who's of a character who would be sort of consistent with the overall identifying factors of her identity. So, style, voice, and tone. Tone is basically emotion-based. It's kind of like a condition on a perspective or some sort of thought toward it. So anyway, there's Katie and Robbie. He says, wonderful, and the deposit is complete. Mr. Scooter gives Katie a delighted glance. Politely, Katie accepts. Thank you. I'll see you again tomorrow. Mr. Scooter. And then, question mark. What comes after that? There's Robbie and Katie. She basically, knobby knees, summer dress or spring dress. You see a little tiny purse, I guess, at her side. Bright sun into the dusty walk. There she goes. This is not much like many of the rest, I guess. Like, how do I explain this? Less adorned, less bulky. She's little, lanky, knobby. Not really knobby, like. Just call it a joint, like. Anyway. So, linen purse dangling against her hip, she sashays thin cotton dress drifting against her knobby knees, across the diamond design plank floor, into the bright sun and out onto the dusty walk. So preceding events were basically the establishment of the town that they live, or the city that they live, and then how she would take her place in it, or what her expectation would be for, I guess, becoming an heiress. And I guessed it. There were so many, so many occupations that were available to women of that time that were, quintessential sort of ownership type. Because related, seeing them off, going on about time and business and so on. So anyway, hers was, she was arguing the likelihood of future advancement if she is an owner and maintenance of land surrounding her father's enormous cabin, which was homestead-like, and it was farm, not only gardening, but kind of ranch-like, horses and livestock, cattle. So I don't know, Robbie comes into the story at that point and she's annoyed, she's trying to get something to the bank, but she doesn't have the best social skills. 2, she's been sort of wild and carefree so long that none of the little etiquette markers, I guess, of the city that she's come into are present in her mentality. Trying to figure that out. They have to sort of develop her in a way that she'd be consistent with her morals and standards. The sheriff and his deputies. I think at one point there's going to be a little conflict between she and Jack, and that was the influence that I was talking about. Jack is kind of like the town scrounge. Never is going to take one bit of word from anyone. He will do what he wants to, how he wants to, etc. That kind of like an indirect influence. Robbie can't do everything she wants to and how she wants to because it'll be sort of like a safety concern for she. Robbie also indirectly has an influence for Frisk, and I was trying to figure a way to sort of have that indirect influence be related to Frisk and her desire for parenthood. Also to leave the bandits out. Or an antagonist as opposed to. So that's Frisk. She was a teen, kind of like Robbie, running the hills and outside of the city, the river country, bustling southern town. So this older guy, Mark, who had a band of bandits, call them bandits, band. But anyway, a bunch of bandits. It's like 8 total. Bandits. So Mark found her sort of interesting, I guess, for her thinking skills. One, that she had been, wild and carefree so long that she had some sort of knowledge about the hills and the arroyos near the place they often frequent. One, they frequent there because every drive there's a major group that travels through that region for travel to the meat market, for transport of livestock to the meat market. So it's not so much transport, but getting the cattle to the meat market. In northern Midwest. Kansas, Oklahoma, some parts of Colorado, Montana, Wyoming. There's Kansas, Oklahoma. I remember some more of those states. It wasn't Kansas City. It was Dodge was in Kansas, I think it was. Arkansas, not so much. But anyway, you hear about Dodge, and it's like frequented for like 4 to 6 years, something like that, and then it went ghost town. Too much chaos and no stability during meat marketing. So they take cattle through there and then, shoot off their guns and stuff. Persons dying and all kinds of crime. Pretty much like the city isn't interesting anymore. You had to worry about alive and shit when coming through there, and that was Dodge. I think it was Kansas. This wasn't around too long. Very, very, very marketed city, though. In other words, while its reign was in effect, Dodge was one of the major sort of market locations for like expos and harvests and sales and stuff. That was Dodge. So anyway, that's an indirect influence that Jack has on Robbie. One that Robbie sort of differentiates himself from, and then also an influence that Robbie has on Frisk that sort of turns Frisk around. That was sort of like a spin-off for Frisk and Tread. Tread is the character that Frisk meets. It goes on from there, but it's basically Robbie. Yeah, she's a trick or two. Hey, Robbie and Trev toss to and fro in the saddle atop an anxious Palomino. Hello. The sun catches a moment in Katie's eyes. She instantly blocks the blinding rays with one hand. Is this your horse? Etc. Katie, is this your horse? Robbie responds, yeah, she's a trick or two. Scans the city, nearly certain she's out of place and in good time. Slides off her thick saddle, heavily onto the ground near Katie. Thud. She's like, tell me you didn't steal someone's steed. So she already has a preconceived idea of exactly who Robbie is, but at the same time not completely sure. It's one of the first questions she asks. You didn't steal anything, did you? You're sure to die, kind of thing, but it wasn't sure to die. It was either you'll pay it back or you'll be freaking losing it, type stuff, kind of thing. But anyway, she's like, course not, she cocks a grin. What brings you to Golden Lake Valley? That's Katie. What brings you to Golden Lake Valley? She inquires. Services of the bank? My name's Robbie, and this is Delilah. I'm from Southern River Country. What do they call you? She stands, kind of like, I guess hippie, like arm on one hip, sort of, kind of a jester or something you see from Robin Hood in one of his archers, that thing. But anyway, that's Robbie. My name is Katie, etc. Katie, what do you do here in this city? And she asks Katie, what's your position here? What do you do? She's nagged by the ever so subtle ease of Robbie to collect her interest, tethers at the edge of words. She's not sure exactly what to say. She begins to pinch the cloth of her purse, uncomfortably. Robbie's dark eyes wander aimlessly. For some clue is the next moment's reaction. I'm not sure what this thing's doing, but I want to know what it's doing. Anyway, she responds, Katie does, I attend private school at the library not far from here. She smiles. You're one of those. Kind of half laughs. Not me, but hey, there's all kinds of difference among persons. She says, how much different can you be? Robbie, not able to easily answer, says, I guess you'll just have to guess. This isn't going to last long, and the battery of hooves on hardened soil past the trove of gallant hillsmen. The hillsmen down from the high-rise folds that they are constantly hunting in. So that's them, and then the hillbillies are fishermen. So you have hillsmen who do all the hunting, and hillbillies who are fishermen. So they have market of meat and fish, meats. But anyway, they're hillsmen and hillbillies, and they like to be referred analogously, which means completely differently. But anyway, so they pass, and at their backs, a linear array of the business fronts, with a few gawking observers. Robbie senses the sheriff's station. Assuming you returning to school, she says, lifting herself effortlessly up into the saddle. When can I see you tomorrow? Tomorrow. Katie manages an uncertainty. Well, tomorrow too, but she sounds like Mr. Scooter. Robbie slapped the reins and disappears into the heat and dust of the afternoon. So at that point, it's kind of like introduction of two characters as a meeting point. So these two characters were in this location or this setting at this time, and it's afternoon. It's something like late summer, early fall, or no, spring. It's spring. Going into the late summer, early fall, it was harvest and breeding for horses. Also the cattle and livestock age to take to Malbo, which is the drive. But anyway, at that point, it's a setting indication of events that are likely occurring during a time like that, based on research and information found on, what do you call this, lifestyle and times of 1800s west. So it wasn't completely west, just something like beyond Louisiana Territory during the early 1800s. If that makes any sense. So there is a little bit south, like a lot of conflict, but they went north and there wasn't as much. It was more expand and cultivate than anything else. South was battle it off and freaking establish it. So that's basically what that was. Establish concepts, expand and cultivate concepts, and then you have empiricism, which wasn't a big one for a while. You have feudism. Was it feudism? I think it was feudism. But anyway, that was Asian in sort of complexity. It was basically war mechanisms. So if you have the garrisons and you have thoughts of army or thoughts of law and stuff like that, then you'd have a lot of that. You know, that was mostly south. Further north you got, the more calm and tranquil and serene it was. They didn't have as many toward Wyoming and so on and so forth. And they came across through, say, Utah, Oregon, North California. It was gold, not so much wealth or anything like that until after the gold rush. Wealth was good, but it wasn't everything to them. It was more like resource and the ability to do what the resources found. But anyway. So at that point, it's further elaborating on the character, Katie. A little bit more about her, where she's at in life, what she thinks about it. So that's when she comes into the library. Leather-bound books are lined perfectly within rows of columns on every shelf, and every shelving unit is about the height of an 18-hand horse, with a small stool at each end. On dustless hardwood floors, I say floor. On a dustless hardwood floor, a bare pelt rug sprawls. Across walls, where windows are not, decorations range from the first few issues of the Golden Lake Valley news sheet to a small exhibit of butterflies. So this is, let's see, the library, Mr. Press's photographer, Mr. Stanley. Mr. Stanley's a librarian and owner of the book collections. Mysterious woman with short black hair, an accessory, like her white cotton lace blouse, flowing black ankle skirt, and an awkward fair-skinned man, very similar in casual disposition, lounging in the center of the room. It's they say like format, or not format, but styles of 2 or 3 different types. One is manuscript, 2 is screenplay, but the format's not there, and the third is just a lot of imagery and action type references. But the third is most important, it's theater, stuff like that, where it's like a description of a character and then goes into the next set of dialogue, which is often theater as opposed to screenplay or manuscript. No real act reference, though. Which is formats based on content and category or genre. So anyway, okay, so they're lounging in the center of the room. Katie walks in a whisper, excuse me, kind of library voice, etc. Looking from a thick book, the woman quietly acknowledges, "Oh, you must be Katie, Mr. Stanley's student," etc. She speaks differently, though, kind of like European, British, and maybe French simultaneously. It's super delicate, light, and flowy. But anyway, she says, "Oh, you must be Katie, Mr. Stanley's student," etc. And she's articulate in a sort of patterned span type way. Kind of poetic, a little, or singing, lyric-like. Anyway, she says, "Yes, if you don't mind me asking, where is he? He has yet to get you the message," etc. And it's Lily again. The woman retrieves a case of gray-scale horticultural photographs. The instant a short and pizzazz-stricken woman who comes through the entrance with a bouquet of colorful balloon stems and leaves. Katie's slightly unsure of the queerness she's experiencing. So Lily says, Katie, please forgive me. My name is Lily. This is Violet and Mr. Preston. So they're kind of introductions. She hasn't met Violet or Mr. Preston. She knows a little bit about who they are, but, only in sort of doing errands or, sort of little requirements that her dad has demanded. So, Violet said, well, Lily, he has been a bit absent-minded lately. Mr. Preston dejects. Mr. Stanley, no, he's extremely purposeful, etc. So I go into 2, and I was trying to find the indirectness here. So, Katie, please forgive me. My name is Lily. This is Violet, Mr. Preston. She hadn't introduced them. Mr. Preston dejects. Mr. Stanley, no, he's extremely purposeful. They won't have their knowledge of themselves any different. So, it's kind of like they come into a bit of criticism and expectation maybe wavering somehow, and we're not completely sure yet. I can take that into a different sort of different development, but I'm not completely sure. It doesn't fit the plot or any type of subtext thus yet. Other than maybe homosexuality in a quintessential dang, this is archaic type way. No. So anyway, it was those 2 characters, and then what Katie expects to learn about changing her father's dwelling, homestead, mother's gardening skills, but it's flower garden type stuff. So Lily mentions agronomy and a bunch of other sort of horticultural elements. One is daisies, that their entire cabin is surrounded by daisies. And Katie likes it, but she doesn't like it that much. It's something she's experienced almost her entire life. So she does expect to change that, but not very much. During this conversation, Katie slides her index finger across the petal of a rose. Okay, what can I learn from those photographs and these beautiful plants that would be useful in farming? She questions, I've never done really this. I'll take feed out to the hens and mush around their hay and toss some grain into the buckets for the, horses, or feed my No, he gets a flat tire halfway to Ontario, slides off the road, and finds himself dumbfounded. Someone's yelling at him, "Get out of my way." Just a sec. Don't forget to put your flare out. Okay, so Lily comes back and says, "This day Mr. Stanley has recommended a more detailed session about using plants to appeal to senses by placement." So it's kind of horticultural. One was self-sustaining farms, and that winds can be redirected by forms. One, mainly trees because they are the tallest. Two, based on tree placement, safety for buildings near or upon it. They didn't have, the electrical wires or anything like that. It was mainly either candle, lamp, or moonlight. Candle, lamp, moonlight, wood stoves, fireplaces, stuff like that. So it's mainly the only ways they'd get their light. But anyway, it was plant by tree, let's see. Detailed session about using plants to appeal to senses by placement. So one was, what you could do with plants to facilitate some sort of action or reaction. So in other words, if you have a tree in a space where the wind blows beyond the tree, it's going to be less likely that the wind is touching other plants or the wind is touching, livestock or horses. So an area beyond the timberline where horses wouldn't be touched as much by wind, it'd be less likely that a freeze would happen and the horses would become ill because they're exposed to wind, water, and ice so often. They also have stables, so it wouldn't be the horses, but it'd be something like maybe the cows, bulls, etc. Also, if you have it somewhere near a building, it would be as susceptible to element type damage. And be twice as long lasting. So anyway, the bus is here. Here. stuff like that, to bring her awareness toward thoughts that she could learn useful information that would be necessary to preserving the heritage she had in age her father had developed. So it goes further into, well, you got to know the persons around you, and I'm not sure about this though. Mr. Preston has never recorded, so also where she's at, who she'll be, and it's repetitious for the first like maybe two chapters. One is where you're at, who you are, who you want to spend it with, type of thing. Time. It's chronology, and then repetition of expectation, which is either reproductive or a couple. So she was. I went further into writing a little about those two characters, Lily and Violet. They keep to themselves and for the most part an enjoyment of the finest qualities of life. Katie's wondered about their arrangement and their similarities. Maybe she's not so different. So yeah, that's one experience in my lifetime. That was, how different am I? What do they keep telling me I'm different? I'm different how, etc. Maybe that's all because it wasn't funny. But anyway, I send myself into myself and then not think about much else. Description of the Clemmings homestead. A memory of Katie's about family, that it would never be forgotten. Also purpose in what she knows about it. Duty, Mrs. Clemmings, Mr. Clemmings. So it was all for self-sought curiosity. Was that she wasn't troubled by herself in actions that would indicate something like delinquency or something like that. As the wind would sweep through the trees and whisk past sweet fields, she imagined mustard and tall grass were huge sheets of clouds. If she wanted, she could slide across or hide to evade her mother's searching eye. So that would be a negative character quality, and it would be sort of evasion of mature figures or wisdom. So you don't want to sort of leave wisdom out because it will be sort of necessary in future development. So mother steps out and she peeks over to her mother. Good evening, mother. Honey, how was school? Mrs. Clemmings questions with her hands upon her hips. Mr. Stanley recruited Lily and Mr. Preston to relay information I need to appeal senses by planting tree placement. What do you expect will change, she insists. Actually, questions. I think there should be questions as opposed to insists. I think your mother questions. What do you expect will be changed? She questions. Mother, racing isn't going to be the simplest arrangement to understand without experience. Daddy hasn't taken me along on any of the cattle drives. She argues attached to the end of the towel to a line. Perhaps he never will. She acknowledges dragging a palm across the midsection of her shirt. You really should consider taking an offer from one of the nice boys in town. Almost instantaneously, Jack comes to mind. Forget that idea. She's interrupted. I really don't find the notion of shack up necessary. She toddles off to the barn flanking wooden porch. Fresh pies near the window on the counter I baked for you this morning. Mrs. Clemmings raises her voice loud enough to reach Katie. So this is further into the description of their homestead. What would be in the rooms that Katie passes through, what her thoughts are while she's there. It's Golden Lake Valley be receiving a shipment of dried fruits Mrs. Clemmings had ordered during winter. Harvesting season is the biggest season of events and communal fairs. River Country Bacon Expo hosts everything from pie baking contests, livestock prizing, and horseshoeing. Fall is the only time of year when all is well that ends well. Half the year, Mr. Clemmings trains saddle horses to meet the demands. For drives in the expo. And to close the expo, he usually instructs the riders to through the city a large group of cattle leaving for Malville, a large meat market some 700 miles northwest or northeast of River Country. Where ought to be going? This is a question she has while passing through the living quarter den area of their cabin. She groans, dropping her backside onto a low back riding chair near a short log desk. So this is kind of where she's speaking. Early fall, jars stacked. Her mother, oh, how the apples have the sweetest scent when paired with cinnamon. She liked the scents of foods her mother prepared. Ginger and vanilla flavors. And Miss Clemmings' lovely pudding, peaches, and apricots are wonderful dried. The bake would just about drain her spirits preparing the harvest. On the other hand, the dry would bring the finest of worst to Malville, and her mom would have news to do next year, I think. Anyway, then she thinks about clothes. what do I do with this? What a pleasant idea. This came in from the more modern women crowd of non-flour baking types. Anyway, spurs off the back for measurement. Then it was kind of like, you got a wooden spoon, I need about 20 of those. Oh yes, what a pleasant idea. Anyway, to get there, they'd have to drive the entire from River Country northwest toward Golden Lake Valley, but through a non-wooded pass, and onward until reaching Malvo. The city of Malvo would have then fallen victim to shouting, shooting, all that other, Wild West stuff, but not really. So Malvo's kind of like Dodge, but not completely. And that's the city Frisk is from. Let's see. At least those are descriptions from the headlines of Golden Lake Valley news sheet. Maybe the place was just old. Sudden urgency to dash in the fields squirmed its way into her conscience. Maybe, just maybe, the erratic plea would be oncoming responsibility. Whatever the spontaneity would suggest, she could just make herself scarce and locked to fit her daily studies. Crescent or Rocky Mountain Pony Cross. The bunkhouse cleaning, the barn animal feed, and the stable raking and replacement of hay would just have to wait or decompose. So anyway, so that's the close of the first chapter, and that's basically an introduction, establishing the setting of the city, what they're kind of about, and a few sort of indications of livelihood there. Also, let's see, an introduction to a meeting of the two characters, and then further elaboration on one of the characters' experiences. You got it?
Yep.
Should join the stunt artist, I'm just saying. You need an older crowd stunt.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Anyway. Joke. It felt too good though. Especially after a while. And meanwhile, Robbie made her way across the breezy hayfield to the city, more importantly, returning to the bank. And you do remember the previous experience with the bank. Welcome to the afternoon union crowd. Mr. Scooter offers encouragement for each worker with a friendly handshake. Much as he had inadvertently stated, the union workers, about 35 strong, had arrived on clock point. Something that Robbie has a problem with. That's why. And joining the line of dusty, bearded men, Robbie takes her place. Takes her place and finds herself encompassed, sitting encompassed, surrounded, and circled by steely eyes of steely eyes of terror. As the clock chimes dramatically, Mr. Scooter notices Robbie behind ire. Not sure about that one. I thought contention. So let me check the ire definition. Tab. So ire, blind, anger, contention, wrath, fury, temper, outrage, crossness, spleen, etc. So I thought contention, anger, heated disagreement, kind of similar. I guess anger's dealt in a different way. Oops, there. Oops. Repetition. No, your lesbians be complete jerks. Put the man balls on him and they'll be just completely accurate description. And a group of mooches, caught in tight and frayed lace, are crept down a staircase in a disorderly way, eyeing her. What will it be? Thick one stool, she takes a seat beside Mr. Scooter, denouncing, Mr. Scooter, I'm not in town. Mr. Scooter, I'm not in town for a thrill or anything. Being assured my value is held by a safer, your bank. Anyway, yeah, well, I can see from a telegram I received today that your funds are desired at my institution. Telegram. Shouldn't even know what that is, but anyway, yeah, it's a telegram. See, if somebody over in River Country wants you to have everything your mom and pop home. Oh, their intentions are good. Robbie Cox agreed, well, I can assure you, Mr. Scooter, your service is much appreciated. And further on into the bandit story. Here, it's a return. Kitty had been told to go do her chores, and this is sort of the elaboration on, introduction of the relation between she and Cody. Also, some questions she had about Robbie and stuff like that. have it on. That is so mental a few away, which is crazy. So Jack moves are temperament. Here's a good one about Jack. So, information that I was trying to introduce from the writings about Jack that I hadn't developed during the first writing session. Jack, the town scrounge with shaving gel smeared over his face, shouts from a barber's seat. Woo, she's a brute, that one. Excuse me, in exasperation, Katie enters. Sure, Robbie yells, teasing Jack as she jumps from Delilah. Don't listen to him, I've seen him stealing from the trough. Now, Robbie, who's been dropping coins in the stinking barrel? Jack mimics her temperament without budging. Well, now, that wouldn't be all too appealing, would it, Jack? Robbie interrogates. Do you know him? Katie questions, being led away. Yeah, he's been in need of that shape for months. So anyway, it goes further on into the story, and it's basically that what we think about Robbie is much more accurate for the character Jack. And so you go into the further sort of references to exactly the character attributes and experiences of the characters that I wrote for the characters, and that would be true. One is that Robbie lost her parents. She's been sort of at the whim of the city since then, whereas Jack will go against the city and sort of disagree about what's being done. He's male and that's what he does. Robbie's more like, where do I find my place in life? I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing, and I gotta kind of be a little bit rougher to sort of survive. But anyway, it's completely two different sort of references. You have Jack, who, should he budge in his overall demeanor and behavior, would experience, sort of brotherhood among them. But anyway, that's kind of what they're about in that city. Should he would be. Her, not ever. It's kind of like, what the heck happens here? So if you're to compare Jack and Robbie, Jack is sort of rebellious, whereas Robbie's not sure exactly where to go. Does that make any sense? He's where he should be and rebels. She's not sure where she should be, and, has a lot of those character qualities. So anyway, as going through the story, how to sort of differentiate that? What is the comparison between Jack and Robbie, and that's here. So, in the previous chapter, there was mention about Jack, and that he should be cleaned up for one of the duties of the roundup and drive. He'd be Mr. Cook guy. So, it must be cleaned up. Robbie and him have a sort of camaraderie, but at the same time, contrast. They contrast and disagreement quite often. So in other words, here what they're saying is she teases Jack all the time because he's constantly on her nerves. Why is he constantly on her nerves? Because he's constantly rebelling against things that she, sort of needs. So anyway, you have town scrounge, shaving jaw, smeared across his face in a barber seat. Ooh, she's a brute, that when he's not teasing her, but sort of nitpicking, I guess what they call nitpicking. I kind of like you, but I don't like you at all. That's Jack. Robbie's pretty much, kind of like, dang, you're always being a jerk kind of thing, excuse me, Katie says in that time, trying to sort of just separate those two. But anyway, she teases Jack, she jumps from Delilah, sure, and don't listen to him, I've seen him stealing from the trough, and that's, coins tossed into a trough. I guess they do it for Jack, I have no clue, but anyway, Robbie, who's been dropping coins in stink a barrel, you care about it. Jack mimics for 10 minutes without budging. Those two, they cannot be any type of sort of eye-to-eye ever. Well, no, that wouldn't be all too appealing, would it, Jack? He's getting his face smeared. And she interrogates, but anyway, it'd be all too appealing, would it, Jack? Robbie interrogates, and he's like, well, you got a lot to do, and she moves along. Do you know him? I know him. Do you know him? How do you know him? Kind of thing. Yeah, he's been in need of that shape months, and that kind of thing. And it's maybe little hints on preceding jobs that they have about the city. Katie's always doing something for her father, and her father knows the timing of the city, so it's kind of like, she's never put into situations where she experiences stuff like that. When she does, she gets robbed. So anyway, Jack wouldn't be one ever. So anyway, within the breeze, Robbie locks gaze with Katie, her long braids swaying. Townfolk have been staring. They usually kind of keep an eye out. With all quiet, many townfolk return to their activities. As a matter of fact, Katie had planned the rest of the day entirely free, with the exception of stopping by Mr. Barnaby's grocery and thrift store. Nice ride, Robbie says to Delilah parallel. So this is what we have, horses. So here's Jack again. This is Katie's livelihood. One is her father's farm, homestead, ranch, whatever that goes, you want to call it. Anyway, Robbie says, you know, come away with me for a while, let's have a conversation. She nods in approval, but in the sky, you know, vulture past Mr. Barnaby's tank corral and mirror. Oh, really? Don't pull her away, you being Jack now, kind of thing. And then that's where I was making references for the indirect sort of influence that Jack has on Robbie. And then also, you know, because it's probably going to directly relate to. So anyway, here's the sort of, you know, feel out, and then you get beyond the feel out, and it's shakes her to a place that she's frequented or familiar, and then they have a conversation between the two, and she becomes less, what do you call her, defensive or offensive toward her past and her history. And then we find that, you know, a little bit about Robbie. She's from a torn past that basically her parents were killed for some card head at a casino, and then come back further into the story, you know, she's spent this much time by herself remembering her parents and sort of intention her parents had for her. Further to explain a little bit about it. You know, Robbie's 14, naive, rough type, crawled from beneath the stilted house with a tin box and arm. What the heck was she doing there? Protecting her most feared and prized possessions. Not only did she fear it, but she prized it. She headed out toward a secluded space on the farm of her father. Study the meaning of these documents. She has no clue what they mean. But anyway, a residence assured by this box would scare her future. What the heck did it all mean? She wasn't sure. So at that point, she didn't know that, you know, her mom and her mother's and her father's and mother's home was their property, and then it was secured by title and deed and monetary sort of stuff. So anyway, this is also the piece of information documents that the bandits are after, and she hid that. So her father's homestead was basically, you know, burned badly. Her parents inside. She escaped, you know, with the horse her father had gifted years prior, knowledge of hidden location of these documents that she was almost sure the bandits would come for. So, you know, that just had come for her, or would come for her. Discontent or uncomfortable, Robbie jumps to her feet. You mean these men are still after this? Uneasy, Robbie rises to meet Katie's eyes and removes the box from her grip. Forever she beguiles, and that is unless something happens or changes. She's like, my father made me know something about this, Katie offers. Mr. Clemens wasn't the most knowledgeable in these matters. And he certainly could judge a character similar to the Houston enforcers in river country, a byway to scavenge or lights. I've read this, but never that the Crusoes had any children. River country has always remained so active that crime's not at all uncommon. Robbie burst into laughter. Right, that's why I'm here. I wasn't expecting any of this. And she goes further into it. My parents have allowed me the identity of this place, your Golden Lake Valley, except the river country had hoped to establish. So, she can't go home, but she can't be here. Never quite in place, etc., etc. Scooter's always agreed to, or Mr. Scooter has agreed to read over these documents with a lawyer. She's not sure what the heck that means, but she'll be well cared for in in Golden Lake Valley. So by the end of the story, it's basically a description of exactly how this town and this city of person sort of came together. Improved the overall existence, I'll put it that way. Mainly the younger crowd. Why don't you come with me to the cabin so we can speak to my father, Katie insists. Robbie hesitates to pronouncing, I don't think so. Why would your father be secure with a straggler? Robbie questions. He knows practically everyone, or no, almost, he knows practically. Yeah, practically everyone in town, and you, my friend, are no different. Katie proclaims, okay? yeah, but what is sudden trust? Katie makes her way into pumpy grass, cuddle against Robbie. Well, I know one thing, sir. I don't want to own that house in river. That house in river country. I just 10 years ago. Robbie opens the way to several documents. A photograph of a couple of parents with Katie on the thing. Katie tenses, turning to Robbie. She's like, "What are you doing? Go to my place. I don't know what's going on now. It's kind of freaky." But anyway, less time between the two characters, sort of identically bond type relations. Anyways, they're right in. Mrs. Clemens catches Katie in this new phase. A dingy bandana binding her hair to an old English style bun. Delighted grin upon her lips, she coyly stops to trot. Katie, who might this be? Where's father? Katie hastens. Robbie's finger grip tightens. He's out in the pasture. What was today's lessons? Mother, Robbie. Mother, Robbie. Katie introduces a new acquaintance. Robbie, my mother. Mrs. Clemens nods an introduction. Hello. I didn't go to the library. Acquainted and disappointed, Mrs. Clemens waves Katie on. Heavily slapping the reins across the muscle tense neck of Delilah, they speedily careen across the lashed blade. Making their way into the northern pasture, Mr. Clemens is wiping sweat from his temple with the long sleeve of his cotton flannel. Worry's normal, but wait a minute, this is Katie. Worry's normal, but I assure you, you made the right choice. She could so sound like a sheriff. That's funny as heck. So Mr. Clemens goes further on, Hey, you're Roberta. You can rule, Katie. Sure, read you the rules. We'll talk about this later. Need a hand with 5 pulls and 2 pulls. Katie, let your mother know she may ready dinner a little early and send another plate for your friend here. So anyway, they go further into the story and how Samantha Anwood. She's strong, but she spooks easy. Katie informs, glancing at Robbie. Well, Robbie, do you know much about the Palomino horses here? He rose a palm over Samantha's neck. Yeah, some, but I'm more accustomed to quarter horses. Maybe that's just Delilah. Alright, Katie, go on. Your mom needs you. Etc. And then it goes further into the story. It's basically a connection between time history and occurrence based on bandit behavior. Robbie experiences the rage of the bandits as her predecessors may have. Similarly, she's able to connect the past and its happenings to the present and settles considering a future without past difficulty. So it's actually predecessor. Predecessor is more occupational. So what do I call this? Ancestor? Parents? I don't know, parents may have. Parents, but it wasn't only her parents, I don't know, it's her parents. Let's see. Just a little bit more between the two characters and their experiences and requirements. It's really the bandits, two in a way. Same about the 3, there's all about the same age. There's Danny and Timmy who are small, Rick and Jim who are medium, and was it Rick and Jim? Timmy, Denny, Rick, Jim. I forget their name. Bill and Jim. Rick and Sammy. Timmy, Denny, Sammy, Rick, Bill and Jim. Bill and Jim are big, husky guys, like mostly. And there's Rick and Sammy who are average, normal, usual. And then just Denny and Timmy who are little scrawny dudes. But anyway. Mark's probably between the size of Bill and Jim and Rick. And Bill and Jim, Rick and Sammy. Mark's about that size. And then Frisk is between probably, let's see, Danny, Timmy, and Rick and Sammy's size. Just large, but not little. Thick, muscly. So tall and lanky. So I'm talking about lanky, tall, and thick. Just tall and thick. Bandits of River Country are fierce reckoning and frequent the nearby hills of Clive's Pass. Their constant belligerent ways of creative and made a gruesome voice. Smoke bellows in the dark night sky. It's a flame of cookery shared among 16 pair of hungry eyes. 8. Bird's melancholy cry descends the pines into gritty hoarseness and disagreement. Danny, the youngest son, a radiating aggressor, screams, "No, Timmy, when they come down the way, we'll have the sun in her eyes and a revolver at her heels," that guy. Points to Timmy, whose dusty brown is a scraggly fuss, unintentionally dusting the mud cakes from his boot. Or mud from his boot. And Dad, you can listen to your pop. Frisk, a tall, lanky, dirty, scowling female rider questions Danny. Danny, dumbfounded, wastes the next word. Boys, no, listen here. Members of tribe misheard red here, rain or shine. Grable man takes hold of his rifle. By God, the flanking gives him a full last few for a payoff. Well, Bill there could ride in, pop one off, and move the entire herd, Danny suggests. Or waving flame. Jim, Bill, Rick, and Sammy each in grasp of guns, staring at Lake God, are approximately the same age. Roughly mid-30s with dark hair and coarse mustaches. Shot at Danny, Timmy insists. Sudden scuffle bends the flame toward gnarly fistling at Danny and Timmy. Bill and Jim crack a roll, right? That was funny. Anyway, Rick and Sammy try to boots pull the chaos into submission. Tammy, listen here, Age Eclipse. River Country's law to begin with a young woman soon. Why don't you keep that in mind, Alia? In his shadow-stricken face, the old man concludes, "They've never forgotten the passing of our dear Crusoes." Say Crusoes, period. And that deed has been missing for years. Which is crazy. But if Pop wasn't here, you should keep after that deed. Damn, my boy, stay with us, and you'll learn a thing or two. First bites are simultaneous, hesitating contemplation. So that's the introduction of the band. It's kind of like always arguing.
Next stop, Riverside City College.
Size. So let's see. Here we're directs our writings on the size and equivalents. They're constantly in disagreement. And the one thing that keeps them sort of alive is that there are all these makeups of just saying. What's the correct? Correct way to say that. It's kind of like a spin-off from some major series. You have like a group, and then you have little meetings that are not completely consistent with exactly what they're supposed to be, but the overall sort of series and patterns of each are with each. Not in like displaced almost. Like Frisk is female, so therefore she takes on like 12 roles. They're not necessarily have Frisk, but keeps them somewhat safe. Same with Mark, who is the old guy. It's always equipping. Older guy, his name's Mark. Later, old man concludes. So this part of the writing is old man. And then let's see, Bill and Jim, large, Rick and Sammy, that's constantly in play too, which is large, medium, small. So in other words, Danny and Timmy wouldn't ever be in fights with, Bill and Jim or Bill, and they're funny guys, so they're hardly ever in disagreement anyway. Constantly doing something different that the other two wouldn't be able to. Keep them separated. Let's see, chapter 3 is the morning steam screams from the kettle as Bob was moisture into the air. Sizzle bacon, the bittersweetness east, like Katie and Robbie, and only I can imagine that in a bright beam of dust-laden sun. Nice stuff I miss with you. Katie's golden locks are tangled into a muddle that sped across the bed, and somehow over the course of a night misplaced a sock. Cracks me up. Yeah, I miss her all. Nurturing type freaking qualities of female nature. Not always. So it becomes far more detrimental. Get the hell away from me type.